On August 7th, DC Nation tweeted out a picture of a variant cover of Wonder Woman 1984 Issue 1. This cover, showing a, shall we call it, body-positive Wonder Woman, perfectly embodies the state of the comic book industry today, as spearheaded by Marvel, DC, and the many activists among their ranks who push their ideological conviction on their employer's dime. Because the paying consumers don't want this, Heel vs. Babyface even responded with a direct request to AT&T that they shut DC down and license the characters to someone that cares. As we will see in this video, Ass just might get as he wishes. They could only lose money for so long, and the day of reckoning is here. This cover in many ways represents the hill that DC Comics, as we know it today, chose to die upon. In this editorial, I will look into the recent news of AT&T purging the executive team at DC Comics, why they did so, and why DC Comics is but the first in a long line of dominoes still due to fall. Before that though, that Wonder Woman cover inspired many reactions, parodies, and tributes. Here is ours, from our resident artist, who is not some kid. The first solid warning that major change was imminent also came on August 7th, the same day that Wonder Woman picture went out. That's when the Hollywood Reporter published an interview with the newly installed Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar, in which he promised an executive shakeup in order to strengthen the company. That's business speak for that loads of people will be fired at all levels, but especially at the executive level. You see, AT&T put him there to clean house. Kilar must have read Bob Iger's book Ride of a Lifetime, because like Iger did when he took over Disney, Kilar focuses in on 3 points of action. The first is to orient the business towards the consumer. The second is going direct to consumer, and the third is increasing the global scope. Kilar did not say this out loud, but do note that in all this focus on consumers, there is very little room for activism, which, as it turns out, tends to be consumer hostile. Due to the beer bug, we are living in extraordinary times, and the entertainment industry has been hit hard. This is not the time to waste money on pursuits that aren't profitable, and it is not the time to waste time in realigning the business for a new reality. This article was published on August 7th, a Friday, and the following Monday, August 10th. The hammer was confirmed to already have dropped. On August 10th, the Hollywood Reporter and many others confirmed that, well, pretty much everyone on the editorial and managerial side that made DC Comics what DC Comics have been the past few years are gone. Others, like Nerdrotic, Ethan Van Sciver, and It's Your Boy Zach, can do a far better job than me at describing who each of these people are and their relative contributions to DC, so I'll refer you to them for more on that. They all predicted that something like this was a long time coming, by the way, and so did many others. So if anyone claims that this move came as a complete surprise, then they're either blind or outright liars. In the age of streaming, tablets, and smartphones, the comic book industry probably would have been declining anyway, but the core audience was there that it would have declined to a level that was still sustainable. Not content with that though, the activists running the show at DC Comics and Marvel Comics have really destroyed the industry by actively driving away that core audience, all while failing miserably to bring in any new audiences to replace them, no matter how much they pandered. No business can run that way indefinitely, and now the comic book division of DC is effectively being put under administration as a result. So that leaves the question, what now? While the writers no doubt felt great putting their activism into their work, all while trying to cancel each other on Twitter and backstab each other in whisper networks, they shouldn't feel too secure in their jobs, even if executives are the only ones fired so far. Because that was only the first step. DC Comics have to become profitable if AT&T is to keep them around in the long term. In this first news cycle, AT&T haven't said anything about ceasing publication of DC Comics period, or about licensing the DC characters to third parties. As of now, their plan is to keep it in-house, but to turn the ship around. But what if that doesn't work? I checked in with our friend, entertainment journalist and known scooper Mikey Sutton. According to his sources with AT&T and Warner, their unspoken plan is to make one more go at turning things around themselves. But if that doesn't work, in-house publication will cease and the characters will be licensed to third parties. See, that way, AT&T would be guaranteed money by way of licensing fees, and money is something that they are not guaranteed with in-house publishing. So at this point in time, the plan remains to publish DC Comics in-house, but under a new managerial team. I would certainly expect a very different kind of quality control going forward, and I'm not sure all writers currently working for DC are going to make the grade. Also, the writers from other publishers shouldn't breathe a sigh of release just yet, because while DC Comics are the only ones to be purged for now, they're only the first. They won't be the last. The beer bug-induced financial struggles and subsequent need to adapt aren't just affecting Warner, they're affecting everyone in the entire entertainment industry. Warner may have been the first to respond, which I think is very much so down to new corporate owner AT&T, being in a position where they can independently assess where their acquisitions went wrong, and simply get rid of those who made the bad choices and course correct. For many other companies, this will be a tougher and much more painful process, as they will have to confront their own past mistakes. Activism and woke entertainment is a virtue-signaling luxury those ultimately picking up the tab soon will find themselves unable to keep on funding without getting any profits in return. Everyone now has come to that realization, so however painful it may be, however long it may take, change will be forthcoming. Not just for DC, but across the board. Marvel, Disney, Lucasfilm with Star Wars, and CBS with Star Trek. Sooner or later, what just happened to DC will have to happen to all of them if they are to survive. And you can rest assured Marvel Comics in particular are paying close attention to what DC Comics are doing right now. In our recent interview with him, writer and producer Kamran Pasha not only described how Bob Chapek is committed to fixing Star Wars, he also argued why wokeness in Hollywood may find itself on the decline before any of us know it. Be sure to check out that video, and let me know your feelings on AT&T cleaning the DC house this way in the comments.